Hello, everybody. This is, I don't know what episode this is because
97.
At this point of my life, I don't really care because we are Saffers Unscripted. We don't script our stuff. Coldest day in South Africa of the year today. I don't know about Cape Town, but Joburg is freezing. Even Breven's wearing a bloody jacket, which never happens. So yeah, it's cold. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Damn straight it was the coldest day. Damn straight. My phone said it was 12 degrees. It felt like minus 12. I don't know where my phone got 12 degrees from, but it was pissing down. The rain was crazy. The wind was crazy. I mean, if you're watching the Under-20 Championship that's being played in Stellenbosch, that's where I work, you would see how crazy it is. No. It's not 12. Okay?
It's not 12. Before we carry on, I've seen that some people in the comment section have been saying that you two are the only wise ones here, and I'm dragging this podcast down to the end, to the bottom, with my shitty comments. I just want to say thank you for liking and subscribing to our channel, and I'm here to stay. I may look Irish, but I'm very anti-Irish.
What did they call you? Jerry Flannery.
Yes.
Now, listen, the podcast wouldn't be what it is without all three of us, right? That's what we're going on, everyone. If you hate us or you love us, it is one of those things. The three of us are here to stay, whether it's with banter or respectful nature or whatever it is. That's why we always ask you to banter us in the comments as well. It just makes it fun. We're just talking from fans' perspective, and we enjoy that. We enjoy talking about shit.
You cannot my feelings, so give it your best shots. I'm a bit tougher than that. Okay, Breven, you haven't said a word yet. I see you supporting the yellow there. You say you're a bit frozen. So how are you? What do you think of our dearest Springboks going unchanged?
Yeah, Flip. I mean, Cape Town's lucky that it reached 12. We were chilling at like -5. I mean,
yes,
this was ridiculous. Like, honestly. Anyways, yeah, unchanged. I think it's me against you two this podcast because we had a little bit of a quick chat on the group when the team got announced. My perspective, I'm okay with it. Obviously, I agree. Maybe I agree with the fact that, and Casual will emphasize on this, that maybe even Roos should have started ahead of Kwagga, and Kwagga should have seen the bench because he's just better off the bench naturally. But other than that, I'm happy. And also, I think Casual also raised a point where maybe getting Ben Jason Dixon in for Salman Murat would have been a good idea as well. But other than that, I think going unchanged for me is the right choice because, as I've said before, this series, and I saw comments saying this as well, why is this so personal to South Africans? For me, it's personal because when you question our World Cup win, it means something to me personally. Like that, you know, I'd like to prove that we are the best. That's why it's personal to me. It's nothing against the Irish. It's just I want to prove that we are the best. I do. I want them to prove that they are the best. So yeah, I'm happy they've gone with experience, and yeah, thumbs up for me.
Yeah. Breven, I fully get why you are happy with unchanged. And I don't mind the unchanged at all. In my opinion, I wouldn't have done a fully rotated team, but I thought this was the perfect opportunity, especially because we'll get into it in a bit with all the injuries that they have. The perfect time to get some boys into the system, but not changing too much of it. So maybe 2 or 3 changes with people that we want to see. In terms of Evan Roos, have him still play with the normal Lucies that he would play with if he had to start a game. Play the likes of a Sasha maybe at 10. I'm not too fussed about that. I get why he's on the bench. He's the only one that can really slot into any position in the back line. And then you put Kwagga back onto the bench. Ben Jason Dixon, good shout, but not too many changes. I wouldn't play a team that we played against Wales and put a fussy in there and all of a sudden it's Andre Eschreisen and Lucanio Am. But I thought it was the perfect time to just have subtle changes so that when we go into the rugby championship, that in my opinion is more important than the Irish test. We've got our victory now, and the changes doesn't all of a sudden make that I think, oh, we're not going to win it. It's an important game, and we still back the boys that we put out there. But I don't want our guys going into the rugby championship and being like, okay, well, Sasha's only had about 30 minutes altogether. Grant Williams only played 2 games off the bench. Jason Dixon played with no chemistry around him in a team against Wales. You get what I mean? So I kind of just wanted to build partnerships going into this game. And I really wanted to see the likes of a Kobus Reinach. For me, in my opinion, the partnerships are Grant Williams and Sasha. Those two always play together. And then either Faf and Andre or Reinach and Andre. And I would have loved to have seen Reinach in this game just because the way that we play in our backline, or especially last weekend, if we want to play like that again, Reinach is the obvious shout, in my opinion. So I get what you're saying, but that's the reasoning behind, or well, that's my thought process going into it. Brett?
So I think it's safe to say then on that basis that in order for these guys to get all the game time in the world, a guy like Sasha might have a full game against Portugal the weekend after. A guy like Evan Ruiz might have a full game against Portugal. The same with a Jason Dixon and a Salman Murak will start. And these type of players will get all the necessary game time they need against Portugal, which by no means is going to be a soft team. We might run away and still give them 100 at the end of the day, but it's still going to be a very physical upfront battle with good opposition that will get these guys game fit. And I think that was Rassie's thinking in this one, because if you haven't noticed that this is the highest, most capped Springbok side of all time in history, 990 test caps between these players.
Right, yeah. For perspective, I'll read it to you guys. The backline has 419 caps between them. The forwards have 571 caps. So the starting 15 has 990 caps. Then the bench has a further 190 caps, which means the whole 23 has a total of 1,280 caps, which means per player it's an average of 55.6 caps per player. I mean, that is just experience at its finest. So,
Brett, I want you to continue on that Portugal game. Like, would you play a full rotated team then against Portugal? Because my point was a couple of changes, but you still kind of keep the chemistry, like you keep the main players, and then just the spots that are kind of up for grabs. These where you just change something.
A game like this is where you don't go for chemistry. You go for getting game players ready. Yeah, so this won't be anything to do with chemistry, in a sense that it won't be a very highly like this team. It's not going to be a very highly capped team, but the whole bench that's playing this weekend might all get a start against Portugal. So there still will be the chemistry, and they're still all in the same Springbok lineman camps and groups and whatever. So they'll still know each other and understand their roles as a player. But I think that it's going full rotation against Portugal, but with a very exciting team. So like maybe a Sasha will start at 12, with Amani Lebo coming back in at 10, stuff like that. I think it's going to be a very exciting backline. So I'm looking forward to that Portugal game, but this episode is not about that game. This is about the second test at Durban. A very warm 25 degrees in Durban, middle of winter, 25 degrees on Saturday in Durban. So where we thought that this test might suit Ireland better, it will suit the Irish better maybe in a different season. But currently, this is another Springbok whooping.
The thing with the Irish is, and you got to feel for them in the sense that they have a lot of injuries coming into this game. I mean, obviously we get told not to use that as an excuse, but if you look at the players that are out, Dan Sheehan, Casey, but in their defense, I think Conor Murray was the better choice. So I think Conor Murray's a better player there. So Dan Sheehan, as much as you guys banter him. I still think he's a loss for the Irish. Obviously, Henshaw, I mean, obviously Ringrose probably better, but he hasn't played much rugby since his injury. Who else have we lost there, guys?
Jamie Osborne, James Lowe, Andrew Porter.
Oof. Like, obviously not like, I think they need to pass fitness tests, but it's
Yes,
a lot
they're
of...
not-
It's,
only two's out. The other three that you just mentioned now, they just need to pass on Wednesday or Thursday.
yeah. So, look, it is unfortunate because those are key players, but it shows you it was a physical encounter there at Loftus. And I think Ireland kind of, by the injuries you can see, really felt that. But yeah, I do back the boys. Yeah, I just think, I mean, we are going to be a bit too strong for them. And just by that team we selected, it's so experienced. Like, it's really, really experienced.
We said from the start that if Ireland were to win a game, and obviously this was from a biased perspective where we just said South Africa's taking a 2-0, but if Ireland had to win a game, we'd probably say it would have been the Durban one, right? Because it's tough to win at Loftus. But now with all the injuries, and we saw what happened last weekend, if we can continue that dominance that we had in the first half, especially that first 30 minutes, and convert it into more points, we could have blown them off the park. Now, that's credit to Ireland, of course, to stay in the game. But if we can keep up with that intensity, and we can take some of that scrappy ball that we had and actually put together the ideas that we had and put it onto the field and get that flowing running rugby together, combined with the physicality, we could do some serious damage. Like, our team, we are fresh. We've come from all across the world. Obviously, it was first game rust as well. I think we just get better and better from here, because we need to be, you need time to fit into the system. I said it in the previous episode. Like, look how long it took England to get that rush defense right. They got slaughtered by, for instance, Italy, but then they played against New Zealand and completely shut down that New Zealand attack. Now, of course, it was a New Zealand attack, but you could see it gradually getting better. And that's the same expectation that I have for the Springboks squad, especially in our attacking running rugby with the backline and stuff. So I wasn't happy with the performance last weekend, although it was the first game, but I want a massive performance this weekend, kind of a statement victory going into the rugby championship. Brett?
I completely agree with you. I think that the fact that we now, I think this is Rassie's thinking now. The fact that he's selected the exact same team, as he wants that fluidity that you were referring to right now. He wants that whatever we did at practice the week before and was perfect, but not perfect on the game, now we're going to keep doing that, and I want to see an improvement. So he obviously has a plan that this year's rugby championship is not going to be building for the next World Cup. This year's rugby championship is, I'm getting the idea that he actually wants to win this year's rugby championship.
Yeah, and that's important to us.
Yes, it is. But over the last four rugby championships, it's all been about trying new stuff and trying new combinations and building towards a World Cup, because his ultimate goal is to win the World Cup. But now selecting the stronger side back to back and not using your youngsters in pretty much a dead rubber game that's shouting signals that he means business.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Rassie kind of has that thought process of shutting down the doubters, in terms of, we perform during World Cups and we win World Cups, but we don't win the rugby championship too often. We win it now and then, right? And I think he might put it in his focus and say, listen, we're not just a Rugby World Cup team. Let's try and prove ourselves by actually winning, let's say 2, maybe 3 rugby championships before we go into the World Cup. Let's see if we can beat Ireland, that's always beat us. Kind of just knocking all the doubters of this team and really cementing this team as one of the greatest to ever grace this earth. That's just kind of the idea that I get that Rassie is going for. And obviously he'll be chasing for another World Cup, to be the first team ever to win 3 Rugby World Cups in a row. So he's just trying to kind of cement the legacy in all of this. Brevin, would you agree with that?
I got a question for Brevin, actually. Brevin, the beginning of the season, when we started this thing, beginning of the year, we discussed that we think that South Africa can go unbeaten this year. Do you think that although Rassie's achieved, he's got his 2 World Cups, you think he'll go for a record now, like an unbeaten run? Like, it's a thing in world rugby.
No, it is.
England's done it, New Zealand's done it, we've done it.
I think it's important in the sense that, I mean, every time you achieve something, there'll always be something else that needs to be achieved, you know? So, as Casual said, the 3rd World Cup in a row has never been done before. That's something you might be definitely will be looking at. But at the same time, you'll definitely want, I mean, if we stand a chance, let's be honest, of going undefeated for a year, it would be this year. And the reason I say that is because we have the Irish at home. We have New Zealand at home. We can play an Australian side who may not be their best as what they once were in Australia, so we won't have to travel there thinking we're playing, I touch wood here, but playing their best ever, if that makes sense. Obviously, Argentina, I mean, getting blown away by a 2nd-string French team at home. They're not looking too great, and we only have to play them once in Argentina. And then also, we don't play the Irish in Ireland at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. It's just England, Scotland, and
France.
I think Wales. Or I don't think we play France even. I think it's a France. Okay, that will be a tough one, of course. But yeah, look, he will be looking for that because, you know, I think every natural professional sportsman or coach will want to have a legacy on their name, if that makes sense. You know, there's always a competitive edge in every single professional sportsman. So, I mean, if I could walk around knowing I was in a back-to-back winning World Cup side, then won the rugby championship, and I went undefeated a whole year, not to shove, you know, compliments up my ass, but I'd be pretty proud of myself, you know. So yeah, I think it's important. So
yeah, for us, it's probably just like getting that winning record up. I think his winning record is what, at 60% or something.
54.
As head coach. So a clean sweep of a year, going undefeated, it'll probably boost it quite a bit, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand.
And
obviously, yeah.
Sorry, that's my thought process. I think that this is the only thing that I can wrap my head around. Why would he go so strong? I think he's trying to make a statement. I think I think the goal is to beat them by more than 20 and shut all the naysayers up, because they got lucky. Let's be honest. That was 20 points to 8 at one stage, 20 points to 8 at one stage, and
5 minutes to go, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, exactly, and it was 27-20 at the end. So I think that infuriated Rassie. And he doesn't want that again. And I think he didn't want to take any chances. We wanted to see other players, but yeah.
Yeah, of course, especially with the tries that we conceded. So we don't like conceding soft tries, and that was bad. To concede 2 tries at the end, even though we scored another try as well. It's not a good look. It makes the scoreline a lot closer than the performance that we put up, especially at the start. But in the end, what I just wanted to end off with was like, every game is literally like a final, because we are the defending champions of the Rayburn Shield, the lineal trophy.
Gosh, not this. Oh my God.
Every single game you defend that trophy. And if we just focus on not losing that trophy, we should be sorted. Anyway, I wanted to ask you guys, and we can probably wrap up the video. It won't be too long, seeing that's the same squad. With us going into this with the same team, I'll go to Brett first. What's like the 3 key players to you this game who's going to be important or has to have a standout performance, in your opinion?
Okay, so this is a little controversial one because I'm obviously a big fan of this person, but Frans Malherbe was a bit quiet for me. And like team of the week, I don't know who made it, but Vincent Koch got tight head prop of the week. Off the bench. So I think Frans Malherbe needs to up his game drastically. I think besides his scrumming, I thought that will vary from ref to ref. So there I'm not concerned about. But his general play, the Oak normally puts in big hits, doesn't miss a tackle. He's probably one of the best defenders that we have. He was very quiet. Okay, then obviously a guy like Kwagga Smith definitely has to up his game. It took him at least 35 minutes to get into that game, which for me is completely uncharacteristic from him. I'm not happy with him. I'm not going to talk about Faf, but then Handré Pollard. Handré Pollard needs to, besides his kicking for goal, besides that, like, think about when he, I forget what year it was. I think it was 2018 when he scored that great try against the All Blacks where he broke a few tackles and then scored that good try right next to the poles. I need that Pollard back. The Pollard that's not afraid to run it up in their faces. I need that Pollard back. That'll be cool.
River?
Okay. I think important players, obviously Delende has to have a great game as always. I think when he's having a good game, the whole backline has a good game just because he gets you go forward ball. And I don't doubt he won't. He always has a good game. I mean, he's a legend. Then, again, I think if Sia Kolisi plays well, the whole team plays well. Because, I mean, he's just... I want to see him doing those ball carries again. I want to see that Sia Kolisi running on the wing or running it up in the midfield and running hard, because the Oak is a unit. Like, whether people believe it or not, he's a unit. And then I think lastly, I agree with Brett. I want to see Handré Pollard have a good game, because we've seen what he can. I'll never forget the game. It was Ellis Park against the English, Rassie's first game. I'll never forget Handré Pollard bouncing. I can't remember. I think it was Slade. I can't remember who it was, but like on the wing, just full on bounce. Like, I love that physical Handré Pollard. So I'd like to also see him take it up a bit more. And also, I don't think his kicking will be as bad. I think hopefully that was a one-time thing. But yeah, I want to see him obviously getting that backline going, obviously, and like just him and Damien Delende linking up well. Yeah, I think will be good.
How about you?
I agree with both of you guys. The first name that popped into my head was Kwagga Smith. Obviously, he had a shaky start. I wouldn't say Kwagga was bad throughout the game, but he didn't really do himself a lot of favors in terms of making himself a threat for that starting 8 position. Like, he kind of just enforced his position on the bench. So I would love for him to be at the races from the get-go. He isn't the biggest guy in the world, but as I've said before, he's a Jack Russell. He's just a busybody, always there, being disruptive. And I want him to have a crazy game. I want him to go out and say, listen, first game, bit scrappy, but this is the dog. I'm fighting for this jersey. That's what I want to see from Kwagga. The second player, I agree with both of you guys, Handré Pollard. I do believe the kicking was just a one-time thing, but I would like him to kind of just get back into like that old Handré that takes the ball to the line. Just not physical not scared to be physical, put in the big hits if needed, and just really get that back line moving. Because a couple of times we saw him pass he got the ball and it's like he's standing still and just like kind of passing the ball out for other people to create. It felt like Mani could have attacked the line a bit better. So I would just like to see Handré find his feet in terms of attacking running rugby again. But Brett, you mentioned it in the previous episode where it's like he needs to get used to a new system. And hopefully that doesn't take too long for him. And then the final guy, I've actually went with a bench player, and we saw snippets of it last weekend of him getting back to his best, what he does usually. Malcolm Marx. If he gets onto the field, impact. Disruptive at the breakdown, carry that ball up. Don't even look like you're going to give away something at the line out. Get that percentage back up to 100 for this game. Massive game for him, just to like kind of show everybody, listen, the best hooker in the world, he's back, he's ready for business. So those are the 3 guys that I think have very important games and they need to stand out. Is there anything that you guys wanted to add before we shut it out?
On the Malcolm Marx topic there, if you think about it, think about the Marx that played against Wales and the Marx that came off the bench. It was monumental. The difference was so big. Like, I mean, I think he was in the park for 2.5 minutes and he made his first steal. I mean,
Yeah.
you're still trying to find your groove and you're already competing
And
at the right.
Yeah, that's a tackle on furlong.
And the tackle on furlong. Did you see that tackle? They took a picture of that and they said,
Yes.
we're the best in the world, not furlong.
Yeah, I saw that.
Anyway, also, I have one more question for you guys. Before I ask my question, on the Pollard thing, don't you think that if you see that first phase play where we carried the ball so well and Curtly Aronson was the last player to get it, he almost broke through on the end there. I think that old Pollard would have created a defensive lapse in the Irish side, because now it felt like we don't have to defend on Pollard because he doesn't take it up anymore.
Exactly,
so it was easy to shift that one over. Like, they didn't shift over immediately. They were still scanning Pollard, but there was no one-off commitment on Pollard. And I think that if he can just twice in the game, that's what I do as a fly-off. Just twice in the game, in the first 10 minutes, I take it up. So the defense can see, okay, this 10 is not scared to run. Now you have to keep an eye on me and my back line.
We saw that with, I think in this attacking system that we want to play, like that combination. Do you guys remember that game that we played against, I think it was Italy, where it stood out so much, where when Marnie came on, it was the interchange of Willie and Marnie in that first receiver role. And it gave Marnie that freedom to say, listen, I can also attack the gain line, because then Willie just switches into that first receiver role. And I would love to see that type of interplay with this backline as well. But obviously it's tough if your 10 doesn't want to take the ball up. So,
exactly. Okay,
Revan, do you want to add something to that?
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
My last question, you don't have to answer this question. You can just sleep on this question. But a few years ago, I thought this player should never even be in a box setup at all. And I couldn't stand him. And I really did not enjoy him. But is Jesse Kriel the best outside center in the world currently?
Yes. Don't have to think about it.
Yeah. By a mile.
I mean, just to elaborate briefly, I think what he's done from the World Cup to now, it's undeniable. He had a man of the match performance now against the Irish, and in the World Cup he was, I think, the best 13 as well. So I just think
if you think about it, I feel like there's a couple of outside centers that used to stand out, but they've kind of just dropped off a bit. So his competition isn't really that high at the moment. Like, who's the world-class outside centers at the moment?
I think Ringrose is
obviously
coming back from injury. There's not prime Ringrose at the moment. I don't think the English have a world-class it. I mean, Rico, but even he didn't have a good game, in my opinion, on the weekend. So I think Jesse has it at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, guys.
What's new?
Yeah, obviously. Everyone, thank you for watching. We do appreciate you all. If you stuck around until now, say goodbye. Cheers, casual. Cheers, Brisbane.
Cheers, guys.